This is Kick-Ass Love. I'm Tina Overbury, and welcome to episode 0. We're doing something different here. We're writing a book, his book, Trevor Kasteel's book, live, right here on this podcast. And the book we're writing, it's about what it really takes to come back from hell and build a life that doesn't just work, it means something. I'm a story coach and a brand new expressive arts therapist. In fact, as I record this, I'm a handful of months away from graduating with my new expressive arts therapy diploma. For the last 10 years, I've helped people write, author, and publish their books. The people I work with have big stories, and Trevor's is just that. So meet my co-host and the guy at the heart of this story, Trevor Kasteel. Hey, Trevor, here we are.
Here we are. Holy crap.
In episode 0 of Kick-Ass Love.
Yeah, don't know. I have no idea what the fuck we're doing here, but let's go.
Right.
Let's do it. Sorry,
I
that was the construction F-bomb right off the bat. So
see your
sorry to
sign in
shock
the
you people.
back that says reduce speed ahead. I'm like, yeah, maybe not.
Yeah, that's, I mean, maybe when I get up and do the pacing part sometimes to calm myself down,
Yeah.
that's a good sign to look at. The only reason that there morning sun glaring in and I don't have a blind, so that just fits the window perfectly, and the message is kind of cool too.
I think it's a great one for you as
There's some
someone
good
who,
traffic inside this house, I can tell you right now, and
right?
that's mostly me. So
Someone
I need
who's
that sign.
experienced you for a while and us and the fun and the excitement and the,
Yeah,
all of the, I'm going to call it active hope that happens in in our
yeah,
conversations. I think it's a good one.
yeah.
Um,
A shit ton good hope there, that's for sure.
yeah. So
Yeah.
this is our beginning of our of your journey of bringing your book forward and your story forward. And of course, you've been bringing your story forward for a while in lots of different ways, but you've really decided to land in the middle of this journey and have it be generous to others. Your what you've experienced, your healing journey, everything that led to us being here, uh, to 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 come at it from a place of generosity. How can what's happened to you be of service to others? And you've called it kick-ass love. That's where we're starting. So why don't we
Yeah.
start there? What the hell do you mean? Like kick-ass love? What's all that about for you?
Oh boy, wow, that's a big cookie.
Right?
Um, so what do I mean by kick-ass love? Um, well, first off, what I would say is like I'm a rookie at this whole social media shit, so this is the first time I've never been on any of these things before, so this is kind of weird ass, never mind kick ass.
Right.
Um, but then that's part of getting out of the comfort zone and so on. Kick ass love, what do I mean by kick ass love? Um,
Mm.
well, it's like I'm 56 years old today. Um,
Happy birthday.
yeah, thank
Happy
you.
birthday.
Thank you.
Right?
Yeah, no, it's kind of cool to launch it on this day. And it's the same day that Dad died uh, when I was 13 up here in Yellowknife, Northwest Territories, northern part of Canada. And and so I was born and raised up here. And not long after Dad died pretty quickly of lung cancer. And we'll be going in later on later episodes about the whole story surrounding that. But for people to understand what's behind kick-ass love, I think they need to understand what fundamental things are behind me.
Mm.
Um, though it's just little old Trev sitting in Yellowknife, like all of us sitting everywhere. Um, so Yeah, I lost my dad. He was a pillar of the community and church and all of it. I think he was in deputy mayor at the time. He passed away lung cancer at 44 years of age. Had an auto body shop up here, and and it happened all within 3 months from diagnosis to him passing away, and he passed away today, like on June 11th, 43 years ago. I think that's what it is, and June 11th, 1982. So so that's when a my mom was going through a pretty tough time, and that's when I was entrusted with another pillar of the community, and who was a family friend. Used to have lots of church potlucks and all kinds of different things. Took me out water skiing and hunting. So I stayed sometimes with him and his family. He had 3 kids, and so that's when he started sexually molesting me for about 6 to 7 years. Started at the age of 13, probably ended around 20 when I built up enough, moving myself from confusion to anger, to finally saying no, to finally having enough force with the no to make it stop. And that was a very slow, long, painful process with the repeated cycle with just it's like a psychological freaking torture, really. He followed me around or had me, you know, it happened in Yellowknife, it happened in BC, Vancouver, and Dawson Creek, and he wrote to me in private school to keep me on his string in Saskatchewan, the only place where he didn't get me. And so, yeah, so I've accomplished a lot of things. Um, I got elected to city council up here when got to sit in my dad's old seat in city council, which was really cool, back in 1994. And it was during my term in city council when I charged him in 1996. My oldest son was born at that point, and the whole thing had come out with Graham James and Sheldon Kennedy. I actually met Sheldon at the airport when he came up to visit and do some things up here at one point. And and
Now,
then
I'm just going to interrupt you because for people who may not be familiar with those stories, Graham
mm,
James and Sheldon Kennedy, do you want to just give us a little bit about that?
yeah, there was a lot of news out at the time in 19 around 1996, 1997. Graham James in the WHL, and he's a coach and
Ah, yes, of course.
that did the sexually abused boys
Yeah.
and was charged later and multiple charges of multiple people and um, Theron Fleury, who I also met down at the Breaking Free Foundation in Calgary when I was seeking some help and some understanding, kind of like an AA thing,
Yeah.
um, but for trauma overall, I think. And so yeah, but both of them had charged him and have talked about that. So, getting back to your question about the kick-ass love,
Mm.
um, it, it's there's something that's kept me alive. I know some aspects of it. Suicide has been a constant companion. I even have had those thoughts this past week, even though I know quite a few months, and I've been fighting myself here for quite a while. Um, because it's an invisible prison.
Mhm.
Um, I'm finding that um, the world inside, it's so very much bigger than the world outside, and that's okay. It's just there's so much. The kick-ass love comes from one thing that's kept me alive is anger. I know that even though I don't know all the components, kind of like tentacles, I've only identify and then actually some tentacles split into other tentacles, and it's just so freaking messy and goes on forever and ever. So I'll never find all my pieces at all. Now I understand that. But my anger kept me alive because when anything significant happened in my life, then I was pissed off. I found out that he had still affected me that way. And then now I needed to rid myself of that son of a bitch. And so I would, go to the psychiatrist or counselor or psychologist, and then I would say it's not psychiatrist at the time actually, and I'd say, okay, what the hell's going on with me? So I've had that off and on for decades, and and so then, when I understood that one aspect of hurting the people that I love because I had anger still inside of me and they could sense it, then then I was pissed off and I just wanted to rid myself of it. So anytime that I find out that I've got a negative trait that is actually hurting other people, most importantly at the time, versus hurting myself, which I didn't really see very well up until about a year and a half ago, getting admitted to the psych ward for 4 weeks during our wildfire evacuation up here in Yellowknife. Um, that's that anger has kept me alive, and it has kept me pushing to be more of me, even though I didn't fully understand what that was. So kick-ass love, I think, is a fight for um, that I'm worth it. Kick-ass love is a fight that I matter. Um, Kick-ass love has the word love in it. So, I mean, I had a construction company for 20 years. I built it from nothing, started it with, one of the first vehicles was a four-door red Dodge Neon car up here. I was shoving two by fours through the back window to the front seat. And then, I ended up at the very end here before declaring bankruptcy rather than restructuring it while I was making those decisions in the psych ward, having teams meetings with my lawyers. And it's a wild story. There's lots of them, really good stories. Um, but, we were employing anywhere from 30 to 50 people up here. We were doing work all over the north. I mean, this is something I've had in the construction company a long time, and I was wearing this up at the diamond mines, doing some projects for them up. Um, but this is a symbol of construction. It's a symbol of me, um, that I'm worn and torn, but I'm still here. And I'm not going to throw the damn thing out just because it's worn and torn. Actually, it's comfy. It's it is special. Um, it reminds me of good things I need to be reminded of. It reminds me of what I did, what I've accomplished. Um, and he's got a shitload of stories as well.
Ah, so
So I'm in a different kind of construction now where it's building versus I am still, a project manager of sorts for myself. And so it's construction rather than destruction. But the other aspect of the world being so much bigger inside versus outside that I'm finding is that it's it's also true that I'm finding that the unconscious is so much bigger than the conscious. So what I mean by that is there's so much mystery. There's so much invisible shit that I don't even know. And so the more I explore, the more I'm fascinated with this self-reflection and with the time that I'm doing to invest in me and the writing and the research, that I'm now, able to connect a lot of dots and they're able to make a lot more sense, whether I'm building myself personally or I'm building my life. And that involving a better owner's manual from operating myself and maintaining myself versus also building a good, solid engineered blueprint
Mm.
towards a solid, energy efficient life and profitable life. So if that helps, and love leads the way, it's not, um, it's so easy to be distracted and, the pace is much too fast for myself as a human being. And so I find the more that I slow things down for myself, um, the better I can be for myself and the better that I am more insightful I can be when I'm with others or around others and the way that I treat others.
Mm.
It's very interesting.
So thank you for that. And so
Mm,
for our listeners and viewers, this Kick-Ass Love, like season 1 of Kick-Ass Love, we're introducing all of you to a bit of Trevor's story, of your story. And we're gonna play with this excuse me, I got a cough.
no problem.
There we go. We're gonna play with this great
Just get
formula
it.
that you have. Ha! It's contagious.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And this formula of suffering plus courage equals resilience. And all under this umbrella of kick-ass love. And I want to just repeat back a few things that you said that, again, for our listeners and our viewers, like these next 8 episodes of season 1, while we're exploring this formula of suffering plus courage equals resilience, know that this is about worth. This is about a construction zone. This is
Hmm.
about an owner's manual.
Hmm.
This is about efficiency.
Hmm.
And so kick-ass love, as I'm hearing you say it,
Assets versus liabilities. You're bang on.
right. And this your whole life takes place up in the north, and there's something really kick-ass about
Mm.
that. Like and I know we're going to get into that.
Oh,
Uh,
there's lots of good stories about the North up here too. I can tell you that.
and so there's all this hardness, like stuff that you've experienced. There's the trauma from 13 to 20. There's the psych ward. There is your pulling yourself out of that and continuing on through that. And there's love. And I want to say that every conversation that I have with you, which I think is why we're here in this conversation, why you're choosing to do this publicly, generously, is that you're motivated by love. That what happened to you, you don't have to walk through it alone, and you don't have to do it alone. You get to claim your life, claim this story, and give it to others with an invitation that they're not alone either, and they're worthy. That's
Yeah.
what I hear in kick-ass love.
Yeah.
It's
Beautifully said.
pretty kick-ass of you to
Beautifully said.
show
Yeah.
up
Well,
here.
it's thank you.
Yeah.
Um, I'm I went and visited Dad at the cemetery here before I did a little video which I sent to you earlier.
We'll
Um,
cut that in, maybe some of that video,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, we should throw that in because
Yeah.
it's incredible.
Hey, just a quick break for a sec. We want you to know that the content shared here on the Kick Ass Love podcast is based on Trev's personal lived experience. These are his reflections on healing, accountability, and transformation. He's not a licensed psychologist or a therapist, and I am finishing up my diploma as an expressive arts therapist, and I'm the space holder for these conversations. But this information and these opinions, the ones that are expressed here, they're not intended to diagnose, treat, or offer medical or psychological advice. And this podcast is not a substitute for professional support. If you are experiencing mental health challenges or require clinical care, please do seek help from a qualified healthcare provider or a licensed therapist in your area. Call 811 for a helpline responder. And if things are particularly dark in this moment, call 988 from anywhere in Canada to reach the Suicide Crisis Helpline. Your journey is valid, and you don't have to do this alone.
So what I did was I just set up my camping chair by Dad, and like I do many times, and that's where I went when it was just before the wildfire evacuation, or um, and when I was having tough times with the company, and I was, oh my God, I can't even start going into there because it's just so messy, and then I could go on and on and on, and that's why we're doing these episodes. So, but it's a place that I find peace. And really, it's the only place I find the deepest peace. And um,
That's with
where
your
I,
dad, yes?
yeah, oh yeah, at the cemetery.
Mm.
And there's incredible perspective there with that peace. Um, and all you have to do is just take the time. And that's partly what I speak about in that video today that I did with Dad, is um, what's actually there when we slow it down. So one of the things I wanted to say to you in response is how grateful I am to you, um, how thankful I am for um, caring for my soul, for me, caring for me, and the way that we has led us here. Um, and I'm just grateful, and I'm very blessed to be here. Um, I would not be alive if it wasn't for my dad, for God up there. Even though I have felt betrayed by them both,
Mm.
even though I've hated them both. Um, and but they were preparing me for this journey. They had to have me suffer more in order to do this. I wasn't ready before. And make no mistake, I also thought of this as you were speaking, is make no mistake that I'm scared shitless right now. Um, Yet I am not intimidated,
Mm.
for that's what he did to me for so many fucking years. And I will decide where I go. I will decide how I go, how I act, and I will never be fucking controlled again. And I don't care how big Goliath is. I don't give a shit. Um, and that's what we did in the company as well, because we built something beautiful that helped a lot of people. It's part of the reason why that company went down. Because my house inside was built on sand. It was not built on pinned to bedrock, solid or steel piles right into bedrock, 75 feet down.
Mm.
It was built on shit ground because he's the one that twisted and tainted and fucked me up in order for things like a solid foundation of love, trust, clarity. All these types of things were all twisted and tainted. So how was I to be actually efficient and successful and profitable as a human being if, as a child, through actual physiological development and psychological development, that's when I was infected with this shitty disease that many struggle with in all kinds of different ways. So this purpose right now is to frickin' help people. I was going to throw another F-bomb, but I changed the word. This purpose is to help people. And there's a purpose to why I'm still alive. And I've kept quiet for a reason over this last year and a half to reduce the amount of noise, to get my shit together and to understand myself a little bit better. And I need to put the same work boots on that I have before, because I don't mind hard work. Hell, I've done it all my life, and let's go.
Yeah.
Um, but now it was time to put the work boots on, strap on the tool belt, and start working on me and putting the time in. But
Mhm.
now I'm also doing that with something that's been totally new and taught to me just from the psych ward, which was a blessing. It freaked the shit out of me for the first 2 days, but then by the end of 4 weeks, it was like, wow. Um, Now I'm also blending that with a new self-nurturing or a new gentleness
Mm.
that I had never even known I wasn't doing. So how was I supposed to be tender or gentle or thoughtful truly with other people if I wasn't even doing it to myself? And it wasn't sustainable
Yeah.
for me to be operating that way inside, to be able to help people on the outside when I wasn't helping myself on the inside. That is not sustainable. That will crash and burn, and evidence of that. The volcano will blow eventually.
I want to circle back a little bit to the love part.
Mm,
Because I
good.
know that, in these next 8 episodes, we're going to unpack the formula, suffering plus courage equals
Mhm.
resilience. And so and we're not going to do it all today. It's just episode 0, right? And there's a lot here,
That's why you're here. Thank you, Tina.
right?
You can
Um,
help guide the mess. Thanks.
and one of the things that I so appreciate about the work that you're doing right now, and you've just kind of touched on it a little bit, hinted about it here. I know you're doing work in prisons right now. I know that you're doing work
Mm,
in schools right now, and you're speaking about resilience. And one of the things that you touched on, like just a second ago, you were talking about how, um, from 13 plus, when the abuse was happening, so much of your childhood was stolen from you. And yet you had pre 13, and you speak of your dad, and you speak of your
mm,
family, and you speak of the day, which I know we'll do an episode on this, of, where we tell the story. You tell the story of your finding out when your dad passed. Like, there was a lot of
mm.
love in your house. And I'm I know when you step into a prison and you do the when you do work in circles, that one of the things you impress on people is that the fact that they're alive is their resilience, and that whatever harm has happened, there is also love inside of them. And so I want to spend a little bit of time just ensuring that our listeners get to hear a little bit about your love. Who were you
Uh,
pre 13? Because you're still that now. That's still inside of you now. Tell me a little bit
yeah.
about the resources that you have inside of you pre 13 that have, like, how has love helped you survive?
Um, okay. Make sure you ask me this. I just again, because you
Okay.
know me, and I just want to hit a couple points with what you said, and I won't go very long on them.
Take as long as you
Um,
want.
so,
It's your
so,
story.
so yeah, well, yeah, but you know me, I can ramble too. So
Yeah.
I want to try to be as
Okay.
zeroed in. But I
Yeah.
no, I appreciate that, and that's why I love being with you this and doing this. Um, okay, so first off, just to clarify, I've been doing the prison ministry since October 2023, and that was the after I think it's yeah October no 2023 2024 I think I started. So um, and then because October 2023 is when we did the bankruptcy, when I did. the bankruptcy of Kasteel Construction. Um, and so, yeah, I've just been doing that every Sunday with the prison ministries, and they were kind enough to ask me to assist them. So that's been incredible. Um, and and love it. Both sides are loving it, and it's just going really well. And the groups are just amazing. On the schools, I actually haven't gone into any schools yet, so I just wanted to be clear and upfront with people on that, and to be fair. But I've been talking to the schools for even before I did the bankruptcy on Castile Construction because to come in and speak. So I've been talking to both school boards or some principals for the last 3 to 4 years. Um, and one of the beautiful blessings about all of this is those interactions have taught me
Mm.
so much to bring me here. I actually learn from the inmates. I learn from having these conversations with the school boards, with their counselors, with the principals. I mean, this one principal at the high school, which we're close, we're actually going to delay things till fall now of 2025 instead of going in for the year end, um, which is beautiful because it's just being incredibly thoughtful that we're doing this at the right time, at the moment, that the message is going to be. So um, I just love the slowing things down and then also the learning from the process and the people in order to take in, because then you have even more incredible value and it's going to be that much more powerful and probably condensed and efficient too. And they'll be taken care of better. So there's there's that. And then lastly with that is the formula. You talk about the suffering plus courage equals resiliency. Well, that one was just pulled out of the ass probably about, I don't know, 4 months ago, 5 months ago. But where did that come from? I had to get off my fucking ass. I had to get out of this house, even though when I do Netflix binges or YouTube binges and just pull the drapes and avoid people, finally get my ass out of bed at 2 o'clock in the afternoon or 11 o'clock in the morning. And just the mental prison, the fight, the fight, the fight. So the conditioned avoidance that he taught me, and so many other things. But what that did was like, okay, Trevor, are you following your dream or are you not? You gave up everything, absolutely fucking everything, to actually be here now. And yes, it's scary and what have you, but nothing's going to move forward if you don't get your ass out of bed. Nothing's going to move forward if you don't actually reach out. And if you don't actually physically go down there and be a human being and actually say hi instead of do a fucking email, excuse my language, but what the hell? Like, how are we supposed to communicate? You know, so I think it's more impactful if I'm talking to the person face to face rather than through an email. And if they don't respond and then I start playing mind games, well, they're not, well, maybe they're just too damn busy. So, I actually, where I'm going with this is that suffering plus courage equals resiliency came from developing a presentation to the high school.
Hmm.
And that came from having a meeting with the principal. And that came from me asking a question to the principal saying, what are the things the kids are going through these days? So those are all very significant things I've just said. Not just all of it, but I'm talking to the pieces of what I just said. Those are all incredibly significant and they have incredible power within them. And so, not that I'm not, I'm just trying to do my best. And if I actually want to help people, then I need to try to be smarter about the way that I've conducted myself to date. And never mind, then I can help myself better. So that came from asking, and his answer to me, what the kids were going through, is he says they're talking about anxiety, they're talking about stress, and they're talking about resiliency when they don't even walking around saying I'm resilient when they don't even really know what resiliency is. And neither did I. I didn't know what the hell courage was. I mean, I got a better idea once I started listening to Dr. Brene Brown and then other people, Wayne Dyer and Jim Rohn and, Jordan Peterson and all kinds of different people are out there. My God, you're flooded with shit these days. But what I'm saying, I know, I just kind of get into my construction zone here. Sorry. But those are all in key, incredible, important steps. So then what I was like, okay, you know what, Trev? You know the way that you've conducted yourself. You know the way that you've been conditioned, and you've been high, 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 going fast, 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 crash, fast, 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 crash. And you're conditioned that way. You're trying to find the cruise control, dude. And you're trying to continue to find that cruise. You're trying to reduce the speed. So what I did was I went back home. I said to myself, I'm saying, okay, you know what? And sometimes out loud, it may sound stupid to people if they freaking listen to me in the house sometimes, but um, what I did was I thought to myself before I started taking any of that information and trying to do something with it and bake the cake with it, what I was trying to do was go, Trevor, you need to keep this message simple. You need to come up with some kind of formula that's going to stick and primarily what works for yourself, but then also how would they think? How would they feel? What's their mindset? What was your mindset at 13, Trev? What was your mindset at 15? What was your mindset at 17? With never mind the abuse, never mind dad gone, like all of it, the teenage shit. What were you like? So if I can take some frickin' time to analyze what I was like and what they might be feeling and thinking and going through, then I can create the formula so much better. Plus, I need to keep it simple. So what I came up with is, well, you know what? Suffering. I've written about suffering for so long. Hell, I've been married to suffering. I know that shit in and out really well. I got a freaking master's in that shit. So suffering, everybody suffers. So he said stress, anxiety, and walk around saying I am resilient. So where I'm going with that is okay, well, to be efficient, suffering is kind of encapsulates everything. So it doesn't focus on sexual abuse, doesn't focus on physical abuse, doesn't focus on trauma, doesn't focus on all kinds of different things because people use these words these days and they're so fast and they don't even know what frickin' meaning is. Neither did I. And I did the same shit. So I was like, I can take anxiety and stress and I can I can insert that into suffering because those fit underneath the suffering envelope. So basically, I go suffering now, captures everything, and those two are in there. I can always pull them out and then do a talk specifically on anxiety or bullying or stress or whatever it is. Get out the American Psychological Association definition of it. We can pull that sucker apart too, understanding how the body ticks with it and all that. But we got the suffering. Everybody understands that. No, that I don't need to focus on the suffering too much because all that's going to do is trigger people.
Mm.
And on top of it, am I just going to go in there, tell my story and get the hell out? Or am I actually going to give them something constructive? Am I just going to let them look at the ruins? But then, hey, you're inspired because Trev's still here. He's breathing. He's on stage. Woohoo. Right? Or what's offered? Like what's substantial? What asset? What toolbox can I give them? Let's be practical and let's reduce the noise and the bullshit. So then I'm going, okay, well, then there's like, this courage, which I'm finding out the different definitions within the courage or in the different ways to act within the courage and what's all the aspects of it, uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure and the vulnerability and the uncomfortableness. I mean, it's, so there's that. And then if you mix the courage so you've got the ingredients of suffering and the courage. So where the courage comes in is basically just all you need to do is just walk into your suffering. Like think like take it friggin' easy. You don't just go bull rushing in the China store. But what I'm saying is it's simply it doesn't need to be there's so much complexity to shit, but at the same time, there's simplicity in the complex. There's simplicity in the chaos. So what I'm saying is all you need to do, and this is kind of weird for me to say I and talk about myself, but all I needed to do was just step into my suffering when I didn't even see that I wasn't, when I thought it was, and And then when I step into my suffering, courage is automatically that is the courageous act, is to explore my pain. And when I actually explore my pain, then you get the cake, you get the instant byproduct of resiliency. So you don't need to go searching for resiliency. There's no work there. You don't need to go searching for suffering. There's no work there. The only place you need to work is at the courage. So you only have one out of three in the formula to actually focus and work on. That's efficient.
That's
Because
really efficient.
yeah, and
Really
so
efficient. I
that,
just want to hang in there for a little bit longer, right?
yeah,
Because suffering is the thing that happens to you,
you already got it.
right? So there's no work there. Resilience is the byproduct of
Absolutely.
courage. There's no work there. Your job is courage.
It's the meat in the middle of the bloody sandwich.
Yeah.
That's what you need to work on. And that's the courage, is right in smack in the frickin' middle. So you have the choice whether you're going to do courage or you're not. But you already got the suffering. So are you going to continue to suffer? Or are you going to tuck it away and become a hardened prick? Or be closed off and compartmentalize it for the rest of your life? And that's okay. That's okay. Like, I mean, I'm not trying to be a dink here and tell people what to do because my God, look at me. I'm personally bankrupt right now. I mean, I'm trying to figure out my shit, buy my house back here with the trustee and all this kind of shit. My kids are ESPs. That was a fun conversation with them, I can tell you that. Trying to get those RSPs and stuff. So, but what I'm saying is the more I reduce the noise, and you can see myself getting ramped up there throughout this whole thing. The more I reduce the noise, the more that I try to calm myself, the more power I find, the more self-worth I automatically build. Like I don't even need to go search out to build self-worth. It's a byproduct. Self-esteem, it's a byproduct. It's all I need to do was to focus on taking the steps into my pain and into my suffering.
Well, I'm just going to pause us a little bit here too. So I'm hearing that that's what you did. You walked into your suffering. And I just want to add a few layers to it because as we know, until we're ready to walk into our suffering, we don't walk into our suffering. And you've heard me say this, never walk into a story alone. Never
Yeah.
walk into your suffering alone.
Mm.
And so I'm curious if you can share with me, again, also with our listeners, like what does ready even feel like? How do we know? And maybe you didn't. I don't know. Like how did you know that it was safe to walk into your suffering or that you were ready to walk into your suffering?
Um, wow, there's so much within what you just said. One thing that comes across the top of my mind, please keep that question in case I get away from it. One thing that comes off the top of my mind is us as human beings. I find we are so mysterious. We are so mysterious. Like we're one big mystery inside, and it's just a mystery that's waiting to be explored. So essentially being your own Christopher Columbus, that you're just gonna sail around and check shit out and move. So that's that aspect. Um, just the vastness of the expanse that we're talking about right now. And again, it's finding that simplicity to just take that one step forward. The other aspect of what you were just kind of talking about, building up to that question, was the forgive me, I lost it.
It was about not going in alone. It was about knowing when you're
That's what it
ready.
was.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, I just want to profess here that I mean, I don't have any counseling degrees, psychiatry degrees, psychology degrees, or a master's or anything like that. But I sure as shit have a master's in suffering. I sure as shit have a degree in depression. And all these things because
A degree in courage. You have a
a
degree
degree
in
in
courage,
a
if not an
master's in
Olympic
courage.
medal
Yeah.
in
Uh,
courage.
oh,
And then,
thank
of
you.
course, you have landed on the shores of resilience. And I just want to, I bring us back there because I certainly have my own trauma story, and
Yeah,
I'm
for
sure
sure.
all of our listeners have our own trauma story,
They
and
do.
it's so, I don't want to say the word easy, but like often our trauma story can be what's most accessible to us because it's the shadow that has chased us for a while. But
Mm,
your work and these conversations are about remembering that the suffering is what's happened. Your work is the courage. And so I just want to make
mm,
sure that you remember that yes, you have a degree or a master's in suffering and you have a well-earned master's in courage. That's why we're
mm,
here. And everyone
mm.
listening, if you are listening, your resilience is also what has you here. You have a diploma at least in courage. And we're going to see if this series of 8 and more gets you to a master's.
Oh yeah, shit, we could go on forever. We could have unlimited episodes, I'm telling you. But mm, first, yeah, you know what, Tina, thank you.
Mm,
Thank you. Because that's part of the conditioning as well.
yes.
And it's just the regular habitual acts as a human being. We're creatures of habit as a human being. So we don't even notice these habits on it even a daily basis because they're unconscious habits. Most of them are. I find, anyways, for me, whether it's putting your gaunch on in the morning or brushing your teeth, you get the same damn routine. So the same is true for inside the mind and inside the heart, and the way that I talk to myself or the way that I treat myself. And that's part of what you were alluding to and just raising here is the way that I also need to acknowledge the accomplishments, and I appreciate that.
And it's more
You're
than the accomplishments, Trevor. I just want to spend a little, like 2 more seconds here.
that's true. That's very true.
Courage isn't an accomplishment, it's a state of being.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
It's where do we place our center? And I am in no way dismissing
100%.
the impact or even the enormity of the lived experience of depression
Mm,
and suicidal
mm,
ideations at all. And we are both and creatures. We suffer and we can choose. And so I just want to come back to the question about oof, what was going on for you? And maybe you don't know, maybe you'll discover it in this conversation. Like what did readiness look like for you when you decided to walk into your suffering? And I'm specifically asking that so that our listeners can ask themselves, am I ready? How do I know if I'm
yeah,
ready? Well, how did Trevor know he was ready? And maybe you didn't, but
yeah.
what was going on for you at that time?
Wow, that is, now talk about complex.
Hmm.
Um, Talk about complex. How was I ready? So I think this was one other thing I was thinking about, which also affects this answer, is everyone has their own custom journey. So I'm not on this YouTube or whatever the hell we're doing with you, and professing to know the perfect path, because hell, I don't even know the perfect path yet, nor will I ever, as I'm finding out. So, but everybody has their own custom journey. I think it's also finding that the body also is affected by what happens physiologically. We can almost, like, I got reprogrammed in various ways. And I'm talking medically here, neurologically, all of it, which I'm finding out over the last year and a half as I take the time. So what I'm trying to say is the body the body needs the same care that the heart and the mind do as I'm going through this mess. So that the main parts of what make up me, I have to do my best to hit all of those, not actually hit them, not talking a sledgehammer, but I'm talking like a finishing nail or or something like the custom kitchen here, the final finishings on a home that I need to be careful and tender with how I'm doing and balancing all of me as I move forward. So um and there's so many different things with that. So everybody's individualized, everybody's got their own, like basically all I'm doing is following my heart. And I was following my heart before. So that's what I've broken down with some of these new self-awareness factors that I built for myself: communications, environment, balance, focus, love, all of it, right? Um, to try to use the business experiences that I've had and, all the kinds of different things we've already alluded to. And then how can I simplify this? So what tools did I learn in business that I can now apply to myself to be efficient or to so um, building these factors helps me building the blueprint. So building the steps that I went through all the way from despair to now contentment, not even happiness, but contentment, because happiness is a moment, as we all know, with even material things. And that's fine. And it's great. I enjoy a freaking Christmas gift. Who doesn't? But what I'm saying, that ain't going to keep my heart happy for the rest of my freaking life. That's not going to bring me contentment. There's another level. There's another step. And so it goes all the way from despair and then, being broken and all that kind of stuff to the deepest of lows to contentment. What are all the steps in between, including plans and goals and objectives and actions, daily actions, all that kind of stuff within those steps. And then also have the toolbox there of all the different things that I've learned, whether it's been in EMDR therapy or psychologists or now the psychiatrist that I never had any time in my life to link the medical to the psychological. And then, just all of it, that now all the things that I've learned to date, and even a lot on my own as well, that are now going to the toolbox. And then which tools do I use during which steps as I'm trying to rebuild myself? And which ones have helped me during each of those steps? And breaking it down methodically like that is incredible. And that's using the asset, like you alluded to earlier, that they actually are resilient already. Well, you are. If you're still here, you are. No bullshit. Straight up. So otherwise you wouldn't be here. So pat yourself on the frickin' back. Good frickin' job. Now don't be a suckle. You got to pull up your own pants too, like I did. I do every day. I mean, geez, I'm not doing it perfect every day. I'm failing. Like, look, this last week I get my ass out of bed. It's been so fucking hard. I've been fighting.
Not going to ask you if you have pants on.
Yeah, I do. I'm good there. Here, there, you can see them. Yeah.
Got to put my pants on every day.
I might surprise you one day. When I start pacing, then I'm wearing no pants. Okay, that's going to be.
Step
we'll get people.
Put the pants on.
That's a good way to get people to tune in. Yeah.
Right?
Oh my God, no, I'm kidding.
Okay. Different show.
So, yeah, no shit, no. Yeah. Oh, I have no idea what we're doing right
Got
now.
it. Yeah.
But
here's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Just to circle around. It's like, how do you know when you're ready? What I heard you say is that you're following your heart. So there was something in your heart that just knew it was time. But then there was also, and I certainly have experienced this with you over the last year, and I think it's one of the gifts that you bring to this book that we're writing together and this work that you're developing, which is you have a passion for answers. And I'm not saying it's not about the answer to why, because we'll never know why. but you have a passion for the answers of what? What is this? How
Mm.
do I work with this? What are these definitions? So there's something like I would say,
I'm drilling down to root cause. I'm not pissing
yes,
around. And
you're
just
not
like
pissing
in
around.
business, yeah, just like in business. Well, I mean, you're not gonna be successful as a bit. Sure, I mean, I went bankrupt, but I had the business for 20 years. So some people may look at that, and quickly dismiss me and say, "Oh, this guy went bankrupt, or whatever. He's a loser." Well, you don't fucking know me, dude. You don't. And I mean, it was either I went bankrupt inside or I went bankrupt outside. There was only two fucking choices after I found out the information I did at the Alberta Psych Ward. So that's straight up. So I actually am richer now because I have all these assets now. I have all this information now that I never had before, and I'm blending everything together to be even stronger. So look what I did when I was unhappy. You imagine what I can do when I'm freaking happy. Like, look the hell out. So, yes, these people are resilient right now. Whoever you are, if you suffer and you're still here, holy shit, you're resilient. And there are tools there. And it's just maybe wiping the mud out of the eyes that you're sitting in order to see better.
Hmm.
Like, kind of
Getting
like
the
when I said,
mud out of your eyes.
yeah, it's just like, it's like Simon Sinek says, I mean, all a friend sometimes wants is you just to sit in frickin' mud with them. I don't think he said frickin', but you know what I mean. So, and it's so
I
true.
think
So
we grew up in the
shut.
same house. Frickin' was a
Yeah,
word in our house too.
yeah.
Frickin',
Well, my
frickin'.
dad was shit and bloody. I don't know where the frickin' came from. But anyways, it depended on the tone. If I was being, it was kind of like a comment jokey, or if it was like, oh, I better run.
Bloody's a good one too. You bloody well better
Oh yeah,
run. Do you hear
yeah.
that?
He
You
was a good
bloody well
Dutchman.
better.
Yeah, yeah. He was a good Dutchman, that's for sure. But
Absolutely.
it's my heart is my compass, and no pun intended, but it points me north. Okay, so and the true north, strong and free. I mean, I don't know, this shit just kind of just pops out of my ass sometimes when I was talking, but um, so it points me north. Um, and it's kind of like the ship analogy too, where I always knew my destination, but I would be sailing all over the place because I was maybe sailing in the fog or maybe I don't know, but I was lost. But I didn't even know that I was lost. And I think that's the primary thing that I was trying to say when you were asking the question about what did you say about it was started with R. What
When
did you
you're
say?
ready, that one.
When I was ready. Okay. So the biggest one of the I can't say the biggest because there's so many big pieces. And this is why we're spending time on this so that we can break it down to be able to make it as simple as possible. Well, first for myself, and if it helps others, great. But for me to not even see myself, for me to not even know, like there's times I thought I was ready when I wasn't fucking close to ready. Now looking back with more information I have and being broken again. So um it's it's the way I'm conditioned, the way that I operated day to day, it was a constant rate of survival. It was like treading water when you don't even know you're treading water because that's how I was programmed and I didn't even know I was being programmed. I didn't know somebody downloaded a virus into me. I had no freaking clue. I thought it was normal. What the fuck is normal? I don't know what's normal. All I know is what's happening to me. And so then what he basically did was he created a whole world of conflict with absolutely everything, confusion and conflict now that I've lived with in every category of every aspect of physiologically, psychologically, all of it was constant freaking chaos and mostly unconsciously, or people like to say subconsciously. And I've looked up the definitions of those two words. So that's why I start using unconsciously now. But that's, it is a incredible, vast, mystical universe and most of it's was blind to me. And yet all of it has affected me. So the more that I explore, the more that I take back, the more control I have, the better I am, the more but I will never find all my pieces. I will never find all the ways I got altered or tainted, because it's much too. So I just have now over the last year and a half come to accept that. So when you know when you're ready, um, the thing that I did was I always just followed my heart. I gave up everything to be with you here today, to be still alive today. There's lots of written stories about wanting to die and coming close various times. But um, I always followed my heart, even though my heart was in constant torture. And then what I'm doing a better job of now is, since I've broken away the heart, so I've got the soul at the top, my poor teenage soul. Then I've got my heart, which guides me. It's not my own org chart. Then I've got my mind. So now I have my heart giving the direction to my mind and the rest of me. Then I go into my unconscious versus my conscious underneath the mind. And then from that, I go to my body. And my body is the tool, physical tool. So it starts at the top with my soul as a human being, my heart being my compass and pointing me. Then it goes to my mind. Now the mind is going to help do the business actions. It's going to help plan. It's going to help strategic plans. It's going to help with short and long term and the self-nurturing daily list and all this kind of stuff. And then it's also going to split in where you got your vast unconscious of the mind versus the conscious, and understanding what's actually going on that we're not thinking of on a daily basis. And we're in these regular robotic habits, or at least I should talk about myself. That's what I am, and that's what I've done, and that's what I still do. And then versus the conscious, and then now I'm going in. I'm flowing that into the body for the execution of the actions, the final execution on the daily chipping away at things and doing the email or doing whatever. But if I'm flowing that in reverse,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm focusing on the body first and what I look like in front of other people, or what I'm wearing, or what my hair looks like, and hence me being here with my old ratty jacket, which some people have told me to throw out.
Nah,
And
that's
I
kick-ass love
basically,
right there.
exactly. And that's exactly right. But you know where those comments come from,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
I don't need material things to make me freaking happy. I don't give a shit about material things. I don't give a shit if my name's on a truck. I don't give a shit if it was like president of Kasteel Construction. They had to force my ass to put president on the frickin' business card. Um, so I don't need that shit to make myself feel good, or to be proud of myself, or to love myself, or tell myself I'm enough. So people will just I believe that I just need to trust my heart, and that I just needed to be smarter with the rest of me by what I've learned to date. And to even if the step is hard to be smarter, that I still take that freaking step, but I take that step smarter while trusting my heart. And that's what growth is. And growth is automatically as the courage element within the growth. I don't know if that helped and answered. I think it did.
You did great. I think it's a great place to to close this conversation. I think you've introduced us to the formula, suffering plus courage equals resilience. You've introduced us to the idea that I know somewhere in these 8 episodes, you're going to have the elements of awareness that you use in your life,
Hmm.
guideposts for you. You've introduced us to these from soul to conscious and body as a
Hmm.
way to navigate our heart and to let our heart lead. And you've shared with us just a glimpse of what you've been through, and which gives us an invitation to ourselves to go, how am I identifying with my suffering instead of
Hmm.
identifying with my courage? Knowing that suffering happened, that's what happened, but you have control over your courage. So I think you've given us a lot today to introduce us to the journey that we're going to be on together. And I watched you start this conversation and your eyes were low. And I know that you were also, really present with staying calm. You made a decision. I'm going to be calm today. I'm going to be here and I'm going to love myself. And I watched you move from a place of mindful and aware to
Hmm.
embodied and calm. And sure, you got excited in the middle, of course. And you were,
Well, then maybe that's me. I'm still a kid, so
well, an excitement, like,
yeah,
but embodied
yeah,
excitement is healthy.
it is.
So
Yeah,
I want
it's
to, I
good to
want,
have fun.
yeah, yeah.
It's good to have fun. Yeah,
I want to end these episodes if this feels good for you. We're kind of building this together in a couple ways. One, knowing that you're writing a book right now, and part of what we're doing is writing this book live this way. And so
yeah,
I want to say to
that's
you, I
cool.
think what we've discovered is a bit of your preface. Like there was a little bit of the preface of your book in here, and there's a
Hmm.
little bit as
Definitely.
well in what I call Act 3, which is the promise. What's in it for the reader of their own transformation. You gave us glimpses of that. So I want to name that of what I think happened today in terms of book writing. And then, of course, as your co-host and a space holder, I'm also an expressive arts therapist. Almost, I get my diploma in a couple months, and I've been
Nice.
done story work for years. And so I want to name. I want to name. Is it a name? Is that the right word? No. I want to do right by you in that journey too. And so I'm curious for you in, we don't plan this. We step into this together. And the art is the teacher. And so our art today was our conversation. And I'm curious what you're present with now as a result of our time. What are you leaving with? What's on your heart?
Again, thank you. Um, incredibly blessed. I'm incredibly blessed. I'm here. I'm, yeah, I'm fortunate and I'm blessed. I love who I'm becoming. Um, I love how strong I'm becoming, but also how loving I'm becoming. And I always had the love there, but never for myself, really, because I couldn't even see it. So, and I love the father I'm becoming, even though right? And just everything, even though I've, made so many failures or mistakes or hurt people that I've loved and that I do love. Um, and that's just being human being. So I either take that as lessons and learnings and then be better. But I treat myself uh, um, better too. And I think, one thing that doctor said to me at the Alberta hospital, I call him Dr. T because I don't want to use his actual initial and stuff like that to be fair to him. I'll just call him Dr. T because my name's Trev. So what the hell, as you know. So he said, one of the things that was in my little blue book there, kind of like my little Bible, I took in to see him every day and then wrote things down and then read them all back to him after almost a month. Was anything that struck me, I wanted to make sure I captured. And he was kind of floored when I read them all back before the day I was being discharged. And one of the things that he said to me was, um, Trevor, you should be angry, um, just not at yourself. It's incredibly messy. It's incredibly vast. It is incredibly complicated, but there is simple within this, and that hence why we're doing Kick-Ass Love, and hence why we come up with that formula of suffering plus courage equals resiliency, and hence why we're just trying to give some frickin' simplified tools. And if it helps somebody, amazing. If nobody tunes in, that's fine too. We're at least all we can do is follow our hearts, and all we can do is try. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, this wraps up our episode 0. And I just really want to acknowledge you for showing up and sharing so openly. And so you came so prepared and stayed where you are and lived in where you are and breathed through it all. And I really want to acknowledge you for the twinkle that you always have in your eye, in your face, in your smile, and your kick-ass love, Trev.
Yeah.
Acknowledge you for your kick-ass love. So thank you for sharing your story with us today. And we'll see everybody in episode 1. This is
Let's
us.
do it, baby. Let's
All
do
right.
it. We're going to kick some ass. Let's do it. I love it. Thank you, Tina. I appreciate it.
Well, that's episode 0 of Kick-Ass Love. And this isn't just a podcast. It's a build site. It's a blueprint. It's a fire pit where we tell the truth and we don't look away. Next up on episode 1, we're going to walk through the wildfire evacuation that cracked Trevor open and the courage it took just to stay standing. You're going to see a bit about how the framework works and maybe even find your own story in the middle of it. We're really glad you're here. This is Kick-Ass Love. Let's keep kicking.